Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a new edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood, here on the Sports Insanity Network. Danny Boy Reginald, Mike Rifkin with you. Shout out the old ops guy who's recovering. Heard from him this morning. He's doing well. So shout out to you, old ops guy. But Dan, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. It was good to hear from Mark. He sounds great. Um, it's gonna be a while for him to recover, and you know what? We'll be here when he comes back. So, right now just needs to lay down and rest and enjoy the Knicks. We got plenty of
Enjoy
extended
the
rest
Knicks.
while these idiots in Philly had to play a game seven. So it's like, let let them get the short rest time before Monday's game one.
A team in New York that wears orange and blue that could actually win some games. What a concept!
Rifkin, I am so sorry, my man.
It's quite all right. We will dive into the Mets in a little bit
God.
because there was an announcement made earlier or now last week, but there's an announcement made. But for the second straight week, we are going to start this show by talking about a managerial firing. Last week it was Alex Cora. This week it was Rob Thompson of the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies, who gets fired after a very sluggish start for the Phillies.
Bendito. He's such a good guy. And look, I'm a Yankee fan, so Rob Thompson's very important to people like me, but you know,
I thought it was awesome. I think it was the next day because I think he was fired on Tuesday. And Wednesday, he does a Zoom call with all these
yeah.
reporters from
I
Philadelphia. Like
I
that,
I
that is
I
not every
love
manager
him.
would do that.
I love Topper. You have no idea how much I love that guy. I loved him when he was working with Girardi, and of course, I loved him as manager of the Phillies. Like, I wish him all the best. I don't know if he's going to get another job in baseball. This is probably his only real big chance. I hope he gets considered, but oh man, nah. Anyone that's hiring, like Rob Thompson, like he'll get your team straight.
Uh, Here's the thing about Rob Thompson. And again, Dan and I aren't in Philadelphia. We don't know the all the ins and outs. But the Phillies are underachieving because their stars are underachieving.
Mhm.
But my problem, Dan, is not just the stars are underachieving. The fact of the matter is the Philadelphia Phillies are the National League version of the Yankees. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I say that in the terms of this. They make the playoffs
Yeah.
every year. And then they fade or make a mistake in the playoffs that it really costs them. And then they continue to run it back with the same roster. Isn't it the job of the GM?
Yeah, I mean, God, Dombrowski's had a terrible last couple years. I'm calling it out like it is. The team doesn't
To fix
seem,
the roster?
yeah, the team doesn't seem to want to improve. They're always putting band-aids on current parts of the team that are breaking. And it's just like, hey man, like, this run it back. Like, I was pissed off the Yankees are running it back. Now look, obviously the Yankees are in a way different situation. They're tearing up a very, very easy American League. But the Phillies, though, like they're running it back. Everyone's gotten better in the National League all of a sudden, which I did not expect to see. And the Phillies' answer is another year of Kyle Schwarber older, another year of Bryce Harper older. Barely seeing Zach Wheeler. I'm glad that he's back, but what has he done? Nothing.
Right, he pitched yesterday. Or not yesterday, Friday.
You know?
But
And what is the result to? Nothing.
yeah,
They're not winning a lot.
and you had an opportunity this winter to do some things to make maneuvers. And the only move they made was cutting Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I get it. 50 homers doesn't grow on trees. You wanted to bring back Schwarber, fine. Then you bring back JT Real Muto. And that's the one that's like, all right, the dude's in his mid 30s. He catches every day. Now he's hurt. But that was one where you could have just went, we just don't like to upgrade. Or we don't like anything that could potentially be an upgrade. Um, yeah, I think Dave Dombrowski deserves a lot of blame here too. But I did find it interesting. Before they made their hire on who the interim is, and we'll get into that in a second, they did make a phone call to Alex Cora,
Yeah.
who had just got fired from the Red Sox. Alex Cora says, "No, I'm going to spend some time with my family before I make my next decision on who I'm going to manage next." So, in the interim, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, ironically enough, also a Yankee legend, Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly, uh, who, by the way, will be managing under his son, Preston, who is the general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. So, kind of a cool moment for the Mattingly family.
Yeah, obviously, it's just weird because, Donnie Baseball goes to the Phillies, becomes the bench coach. Like we all knew where this was going. Oh, this doesn't work out. Rod Johnson gets fired. Well, who are they picking? Now, I give him credit for going after Cora first. That's what I
Yeah.
would have done. But come on, like, no, it was set up to be Donnie's job. You know, it that's where he was gonna end up. Happy he gets another chance to manage. I guess he was kind of screwed out of Miami, but no, I'm happy for him, and all I could do is wish the Phillies the best, and hopefully they'll win more games.
Well, they've gotten off to a decent start under Don Mattingly now. They beat up the Giants and
Mhm.
they've split the first two games of their series with the Marlins. So
Yeah.
this is where they're going to make some hay because I think they got the Rockies coming up too. But I don't know. The Braves have built such a lead in the division. Who knows? Let's start the Braves are off to.
Yeah, but Braves are world beaters. Look, we keep saying healthy, Braves
Yeah.
are unstoppable.
11 series to start the year. The Braves have not lost one. They've either won or split their first 11 series. So,
Yeah.
from one manager in the National League East to another, Carlos Mendoza, for all of us who have talked about him getting potentially fired. Well, Friday, we got some news from David Stearns. This is from Anthony DiComo of MLB.com. Uh, so he's not in an imminent danger. And here's the vote of confidence. Here's the quote from Stearns. Quote, we know our record is not what we want, and we know we are capable of more. We don't view this as a manager problem, and we don't intend to make a change. Close quote. Um, okay, if you don't view it as a manager problem, that means you view it as a roster problem, David.
Which is
And
a
who
you
put
thing.
together the roster?
It's a you thing. And look, I'm glad that this wasn't via the oppressor with the media, right? Was it like a statement
It
type
was
of
a
thing?
statement to Anthony DeComo of MLB.com.
He's so lame. Why can't you come out in front of the media and be like, "Hey, look, this is unacceptable." Nah, he's such a wuss. Um, Look, the reality of the situation is now what you're basically saying is this is my fault because you're the one that constructed the roster. You're the one that got the vote of confidence from the owner. to do what you're doing now. Blow up your team, getting rid of your homegrowns, and build it with run producers and contact hitters and all that stuff. And where is that? Where's that bit? Instead, you have Bo Bichette, who is lifeless with runners in scoring position. Can't do anything.
194.
Can't do anything. Um, you have Lindor before he got hurt. He was making all sorts of mistakes, like he was on drugs out there. I'll give Soto credit. Fine, like Juan Soto's a great player. Maybe Nolan McLean. He's still young and figuring it out. He's doing okay. You know, pitching has been a disaster. Kodai Senga can't get through 3 innings. He couldn't get through 2 innings. If he was on any other team, he's been horrible. Like there's just a lot of issues with this ball club. You lost to the Angels last night. You got walked off by the Angels. Like at some point, something's got to give with this GM. And you know, at the end of the day, man, like if you're not going to play the manager, they're going to look to you. The fans are going to look to you. They're not going to look at they're obviously looking at what you're putting out there, Mike.
Oh, yeah. The fact that last night's outfield for the Mets, the outfield configuration to start the game was Tyrone Taylor in center field, in between Andy Ibanez in left field, who you just claimed off waivers from the A's. I don't even know if he's related to Raul Ibanez, who I would have preferred, because that dude could actually hit the ball. And Austin Slater, who couldn't even make it on the freaking Marlins this year. That was your outfield configuration last night. And your reasoning is, well, they hit lefties. Well, Reed Detmers, who had an ERA probably near 5 going into last night, gave the Angels 6 1/3, struck out 8. And if you didn't give him trouble in the 7th, he was great. Bo Bichette, great with runners in scoring position. He puts on the Met jersey, it's a curse. He can't hit with runners in scoring position. Excuse me.
I think his bat is allergic to the ball. You
Uh,
know,
it's so brutal. Marcus
it's
Simeon looks
bad.
like he's starting to come around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to rely on a 35, 36-year-old Marcus Simeon. Lindor's out, Dan said. Now Ronnie Mauricio's out, so I don't even know who the hell's going to play shortstop. You know, move Bo Bichette back short when you
Back to
said you wouldn't.
shortstop. Well, you're gonna have to. I mean,
Yeah,
who else can play? You're not putting Brett
bring
Baty at
back
shortstop.
Jose Iglesias for the vibes, the
Like,
OMG vibes.
god damn.
Um,
You mentioned Tyrone Taylor, a situation last night where he strikes out with the bases loaded,
yeah,
and he also plays a horrible outfield. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
and that's my thing. Like, I feel like I want to say to David Stearns the scene in The Wizard of Oz where they tell Dorothy realizes she's not in Kansas anymore. David, you're not in Milwaukee anymore. The only reason you were able to sign Juan Soto was the David Stearns checkbook.
Mm, yeah,
It wasn't anything special because of you.
yeah.
But the thing that bothers me the most, Dan, and we can talk about everybody's struggles. You brought up Senga. David Peterson's been awful. Your 2 best starters are a rookie in Nolan McLean and Clay Holmes, who's a converted closer.
Mm.
But the thing that bothers me the most is the arrogance of thinking this. I'm not going to get him on the Nimmo trade because I'm actually for the Nimmo trade. I'm for Jeff McNeil getting moved. It's for thinking that you could replace the bat of Pete Alonso with the combination of Jorge Polanco, Mark Vientos, and Brett Beatty. Now, I'm not saying this to slander any of them, but has anyone watched Mark Vientos over the last year plus? The dude hasn't hit with consistency.
Yeah.
That's your first baseman. Brett Beatty. Listen, I'm giving Brett Beatty a lot of credit because he's had to learn a lot of different positions on the run here. But he's not a first baseman.
Yeah.
Jorge Polanco's not a first baseman. David Stearns, your two words to me all offseason were run prevention, run prevention, run prevention. Oh, let's play guys who have never played first base. That'll help prevent runs. Now I'm going to get into another movie reference because that gets me into Moneyball, the scene at Scott Hatterberg's house, played by Chris Pratt, where Billy Bean tells him, I'll play first base in that hard. Tell him, Wash. It's very hard. You can't just supplement an idea with the fact of, ooh, I go to Milwaukee, I could be more contact oriented. I want to bring that to the Mets. The problem is, if it works, you look like a genius. Doesn't look like it's not working. The Mets completed a homestand where they went 3-6 in 9 games, and they went 2-4 against the Nationals and the Rockies, two teams who lost north of 100 games last year, and you went 2-4. I don't understand the world where that's acceptable.
And look, to think that the Mets were going to be not better, but certainly competitive at least. Shame on me. I should get egg in my face. Shame on me.
No. But this is the thing, Dan. We not we, Met fans like me are thought into, we have to buy into this team every year.
Yeah.
And we're at May 3rd. And I'm the idiot who says Friday night, oh, they come back from 3 runs down. Maybe that jump starts and gets them going. They just need to flip the calendar.
Yeah.
No. This is who they are. They're going to be an inconsistent baseball team. And I've said this to many people. That 8-game winning streak they're going to have in August that gets them somewhat back into a race, whether it's the wild card, division, whatever. That 8-game winning streak is going to be fool's gold for them. And the person who's going to lose the most isn't just the fans. It's not even Stearns. It's not even Mendoza. It's Steve Cohen. Because this summer, unless things turn around, Citi Field is going to be a ghost town. And that's the one thing Steve Cohen cannot have. So they got to figure this out quickly, and they got to figure this out now.
Before you know it's gonna be June.
Yeah.
And once it's June and you're still struggling, look, like I said, the National League all of a sudden got better. I didn't expect a lot of these performances out of the National League.
Yeah.
You're going to face some tough competition. You're already facing tough competition within your division. Shout out to the Washington Nationals. I know they dropped 2 so far to the Brewers, but they were very close to 500 and playing lights out baseball. I think CJ Abrams' home runs is still flying out way past the soccer stadium.
That shot he hit off of Luke Weaver the other day, man. That was a killer.
How does it feel with Luke Weaver? How does it feel?
I'd rather have Jared Weaver. I'm gonna give Luke Weaver this though. He's not afraid to face the media, and he faced the media after it, and he spoke. He gave a interesting perspective answer. But at this point, whether it's Luke Weaver blowing a game, Devin Williams blowing a game, David Peterson not getting out of the second inning. I'm numb to this now.
Yeah.
I've become numb. It took me almost 33 years of living, but I've become numb to the New York Mets. Maybe it was all those years where the Knicks stunk. It was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm numb.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh man. But yeah, if you lose a series to the Angels, man, I don't know what you do. I I don't know what you do if you lose today. There may be some epic words coming certain people's ways. All right, on to some other news. How about the White Sox for a second? Munetaka Murakami,
Mhm.
13. I don't think he homered last night. I'm going to double check that now, but 13 homers for the Japanese import. And he's been crushing it for that young White Sox team.
I mean, it's been a historic season for the young guy, you know?
Oh, yeah. White Sox last night. White Sox shut out the Padres last night.
Mm.
They're a
Yeah.
game under 500. Okay, Murakami. No, he went 0 for 4 last night.
Yeah. And
But
that's okay. He's allowed
yeah,
to take a break.
231, 13 horse, 26 RBIs.
Yeah. I mean, batting average is for someone that's going to be a big time power. It seems like that's what he's trying to do at least. Um, the 231 is, I guess, average for a guy like him. I wish it would be a little higher, but whatever, you know.
Oh, look, making a name. And then in Arizona, Ildemaro Vargas, 27 game hitting streak to start the year. That snapped yesterday, but the longest hitting streak by a Venezuelan born player.
Mhm.
So congratulations to you, Mr. Vargas.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I don't know, Dan, if you saw or heard about this, but Friday night before the Astros played the Red Sox at Fenway, we covered this for football, where there was the plane that flew over MetLife saying fire Dable and Shane. Well, it flew over Fenway Park with saying for the Red Sox ownership to sell the team.
Yeah.
I listen. I don't blame them. I don't blame Red Sox fans for being upset,
Yeah.
but man, talk about feelings here in May.
Well, John Henry is more focused on his soccer team than he is the baseball team.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the situation. Like it's tough. It's really tough. Heck, the Pens lost too. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, the Pens are shaped up. They got 46 million in cap space. They got a ton of picks coming their way. Penguins are in decent shape.
you know,
But the Red Sox for me, like, and I hate harping on this, but it's been years of bad decisions. The Mookie Betts trade,
I
the
know.
decision on Devers last year. It's just if you didn't want to spend the money, don't spend money.
Yeah, they try to do this little like Renaissance type of thing. Oh, we don't need bets. We won a World Series. We don't. Well, we can do without Xander Bogaerts. Oh, well, he's killing it in San Diego. You know.
Eh, By the way, they're like, oh, Chris Sale, who was really good for them in those playoffs.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're gonna be on too.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris Sale's 6-1 with an ERA of 2 this year at
Which,
37.
no lie, I'm actually shocked by. but why should I? Shame on me again, like for doubting Chris Sale. Like he's a Hall of Famer, and he was on your team, won your championship, and gone. You know.
Like, thanks for everything. Later, dude.
Yeah, look, I think the Red Sox, they were trying to prove that they could build a team without having to spend all the dollars. Like, I never really saw Henry as a spender. Like if you
Mhm.
look at the rosters he's constructed over the years, they weren't really massive spenders. They had big time power guys,
Mhm.
which is of course, but even then, like Manny Ramirez wasn't really paid handsomely until he went to the Dodgers. You know, I guess the only one was Ortiz. Big Papi was tremendous with the Red Sox. Um, but yeah, like I think he was trying to prove that you could be like the A's in Boston. Well, you can't be like the A's in Boston. It's impossible. You got to put the money out there. The money's what won you those World Series championships. Oh, and the fact that Mookie Betts was just unbelievable to
Yeah.
play. You know,
That's the thing that bothers me. Something you said that bothers me. When these big market teams, and the only one who's really successful with it is the Dodgers. When these big market teams want to do small market things, your advantage has been the money.
mhm,
And now you want to go, oh, well, we're going to clean this guy off waivers and make him a reclamation project.
yeah,
Well, it only works if you work for the Dodgers and you do it with Max Muncy.
you know,
It's outside of that, we want to see the big market spend the money. Now, this is going to be the whole fight of the CBA, which eventually we're going to have to dive into and go, what comes next with the CBA? But certain big market teams don't act like big market teams. That's a little bit of a problem. So,
yeah. And for Boston, look, it what's the results? You fired your man, you scapegoated your manager, and now you're relying on some AAA idiot to run this team. I give them credit; they've won some games since that happened. But dude, like, you mean to tell me that you're gonna take whatever you have now, think you're gonna win a championship? You're not. You're gonna get even let's just say miraculously to get through the American League. Well, you're gonna get crushed by one of these National League teams. You're gonna be out of their league. You're not gonna belong on the same field as the Dodgers or the Braves or the Padres.
the Red Sox right now, forget just being about last place in the American League East, where they're already 9 games out. The wrong button. The Red Sox right now have the third worst record in the American League. Only the Astros and Angels, who are only a half game behind them, are worse. And overall, the Red Sox, here are the teams with the worst record than the Red Sox. The Phillies and Giants have the same record, and that's the Astros, Angels, and Mets. The Astros, who are kind of in that last dance situation.
Mhm.
The Angels, who, well, stink. And we just went on for about 10 minutes about how bad the Mets are.
Worst record in baseball, Mets.
Worst record in baseball. Thank you, David Stearns.
And the Red Sox are close to that. I mean, they're only what, a game and a half
The
out of
Red
that?
Sox, yeah, game and a half, 2 games, 2 games up on the Mets. They're a half game behind the Rockies. The Rockies are winning the World Series, man. Put the money down. 6 games under. Put the money down.
I mean, kudos. like they're playing pretty good, not no lie.
Now, the best record in baseball right now belongs to the Braves. By the
Mm.
way, out of the top five, to be totally honest, there's one real surprise, and I shouldn't be surprised because they find a way to freaking compete every year. The Rays are 20-12,
Hmm.
and we were just like ignoring that.
Yeah.
But the Rays, man,
Just like the Bankies, the Rays are 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've on a two-game winning streak. Oh, and they're just absolutely crushing it against the competition. Like they have a great record at home, a decent record on the road. Like everything about the Rays. They're just awesome. Awesome to
by
watch.
the way, they're the small market team who does the
Mhm.
reclamation project thing well.
Well,
Steven Matz, I think, is 4-1.
shout out.
Long Island's own Stephen
Love,
Matz.
love, love it. I mean, it's not just him. The hitting, you got runners that are getting on base, the players that just don't give a shit. Like and again, we talk about the money ball, the sabermetrics and everything. Well, you do realize that teams like the A's and the Rays actually invest in that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They actually invest in the scouting and looking for these players. Whereas teams, big market teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers,
Yeah.
even though the Dodgers have done a great job at it, you know, they don't invest in that. Like they have scouts that are picking big time hitters and big time pitchers and all that. And then they're chasing after free agents. So they don't have the time and energy to spend on what the Rays are doing, what the A's do, where they just find people and figure out how they could save their careers and turn them into contending ball clubs.
What a job Kevin Cash does every year.
Every
Every
year,
year.
he's annoying. He's so annoying every
He,
single year.
he is a thorn in the side if you don't root for the Rays. But here's a funny stat for it. Chandler Simpson, who's one of the fastest dudes in baseball, he has 12 strikeouts so far on the season. He has 11 stolen bases. He is
Hmm.
one stolen base away from having the same amount of steals as he does strikeouts.
Yeah.
But the Rays, they find a way every year. They're going for the sweep of the Giants today before they host the Blue Jays this week.
That's just gonna be the 80-50 club, you know? Because why not?
Uh, so the Rays are doing their thing. The NL Central's up there too. A lot of Cardinals are off to a hot start. Pirates are playing decent. Brewers are beating up on the Nats. The Cubs might be the second best team in the National League on the Dodgers. It's Braves versus Cubs. And will be fun, but
Shout out to St. Louis. They beat the Dodgers
man, they won the first two of that
last couple of
series.
nights. Like it's very impressive. Like I'm really impressed with this Cardinals
And no,
ball club.
no
And I mean, Mikey, you frozen me. But yeah, like shout out to the
one saw the
Cardinals.
Cardinals coming. Most thought it was a rebuild year. Am I
Yeah,
good? Am I back?
yeah.
Okay,
You're
cool.
good. You're good.
I don't.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean, and I said the same thing about the
Mhm.
Nationals. Zero F's baseball. Why should Ali Marmol care about what others view about his team?
Yeah,
Why? Go out there with your young squad, with the squad that isn't good, apparently, and just play. Now, the Nationals, they're very inexperienced. That's why they only have what, like 14 wins or 15 wins, whatever it is. They're not as experienced and they're learning how to win. But the Cardinals, they're in their same situation. where they're not expected to do much. Okay, so we're gonna go out there, we're gonna try our best, and look, we're gonna lose games, but we're gonna try our best. They're a wild card, so
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you caught this yesterday. Reds Pirates. The Reds walked seven straight
oh
Pirates
my God.
hitters, a feat that hasn't happened since the 1952 Brooklyn Dodgers.
It's just that that is just rough to rough. Um, that's like the worst way to give up runs. It's just keep walking hitters around like it's a merry-go-round. It's just like
Oh,
it's tough.
it's the Bugs Bunny meme where they just walk the Yankees entirely.
Yeah.
Oh man. So anyway, on to some of the series for the week. Just mentioned the Rays and the Blue Jays. Blue Jays also got to get going a little bit, but they've had so many injuries. George Springer got hurt again yesterday. Got hit right on the fractured big toe. So he left the game. We'll see what happens there. The Blue Jays, Rays, Reds, and the Cubs. We just talked about the NL
Mm.
Central.
That's gonna be look the NL Central they have really been a massive surprise. All of them are good, Mike.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
They're going to be a very competitive division. I wouldn't be surprised if like three of those teams make the playoffs.
Mm.
We're getting to that situation, which of course would suck for all the other teams. But still,
Listen, if you
that's
are,
the
you're
price you
off to a
pay.
slow start, it's on you.
That's the price you pay.
Yeah.
No, I love that matchup. The Reds have been tremendous since last year. They've been tremendous. And then of course the Cubbies, they have one of the best records in baseball. So
I, I mean, I don't know if there's a more fun young player to watch in baseball than Ellie De La Cruz.
mm,
He is so fun.
he's got the pop, he's got the speed, and
He
he's got the swagger too.
he plays a really good shortstop.
Yeah.
He's turning himself into a really good player. You mentioned the Cubs are just really good. But staying in the Central, Brewers will play the Cardinals next week or this week. That should be fun. Um, 2019 World Series rematch. We got the Dodgers in Houston to play the Astros. Um, Always fun when the Dodgers and Astros get together now. Also, because I get reminded of trash cans. Uh,
Well, those trash cans are not really doing much anymore.
well, listen, and here's where I'll give the Astros credit. They've had such a good run. Now, just embrace some of the youth.
Hmm.
Altuve, correct. Jordan Alvarez has been healthy, which has been awesome for them. And then fun interleague matchup: the Braves and the Mariners.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out the Mariners. They retired 51 last night in
Mm.
honor of Randy Johnson, and they announced Randy Johnson will get a statue outside of T-Mobile
Yeah.
Park
And
next year.
it's the right move. He's one of the best pitchers in franchise history. And look, they didn't necessarily win with him, but he was so explosive with Seattle. Like it's the right move. Like you got to honor your best pitchers, your best players.
Also, you have to honor him because he was the winning pitcher in the movie
Mm.
Little Big League. He's the guy who ended the game against the Twins. Shout out Randy Johnson. And then next weekend, Dan, the Yankees are going to Milwaukee, play the Brewers.
I told Bill when we were doing Bombers Banter, that's a trap series. Like that smells like two out of three them or if whatever it is. Like the Brewers are tough.
Yeah, the question's gonna be who's pitching for the Brewers. Jacob Mizorowski left to start Friday night against the Nats with a hamstring cramp. The day before, Brandon Woodruff had some dead arm issues.
Yeah.
So, see if the Brewers have to do anything when it comes to their rotation.
Yeah. Anytime the Yankees face teams that are, on their par, like that's where I get a little worried.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, but Brewers, yeah, the Brewers are fun because they just
mhm,
find ways. They run like the wind bullseye.
mhm.
The Cardinals will go to San Diego to play the Padres. That should be fun.
Yeah.
This week for the Braves, they go to Seattle and then they go to LA to play the Dodgers.
Mhm.
That should be a heavyweight showdown. And then the Rays will go to Fenway to play the Red Sox.
Yeah.
That's always a rivalry.
Yeah, and of course, like I of course it's always a rivalry between them. I live for matchups like Braves and Dodgers. Live for it.
The thing for the Braves, like we know what the Dodgers are, we know how great the Dodgers are. The Braves are just as talented. Now we'll have to see what's going on with Ronald Acuna. He left last night's game with a little hamstring tightness, but you said it earlier. If the Braves are healthy, the Braves are so
Mm,
freaking dangerous. And today they're going to get Spencer Strider back on the mound against the Rockies. So he'll make his second start against the Dodgers. Oh, man. Braves, Dodgers. That is a popcorn eating worthy
mm,
series.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Hmm.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Batter Up Podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the network.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube page. Dan and Bill will be live tomorrow for SIP.
Yeah. Well, we have a top five.
Oh, they got
So
a top five.
so
Ooh,
we ain't gonna tell you yet because we don't want to spill the beans, but we have top five.
oh, ooh.
We usually do top five on Fridays, but lately a lot of coverage,
Yeah.
draft and all that stuff. Put that away. So yeah, we'll be live tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Shout out to Sarah Langs, this
Yes.
ALS advocate. She has ALS, poor thing. Probably going through its advanced stages and stuff. She's MLB's like statistician. She gives all these different like
Yes.
tidbits, which are just tremendous. If you ever go on X and Instagram, like it's the best things I've ever seen in my life. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. Um, of course, being absolutely serenaded across all of social media. She's a baseball darling. And remember, Sarah, birthdays are important. So celebrate when you can. Um, and then, of course, keep up with the fight. ALS, what a horrible disease that is. Took my boy Lou Gehrig away, and it's a tough one. If you have someone, if you know someone, or whatever, just continue to donate and help when you can.
She celebrated her birthday the other day. So happy birthday, Sarah. But yeah, follow the socials, Facebook, the network, Twitter, S Insanity Real, and Dan and Bill are live tomorrow. We got a lot of stuff planned next week. Another edition of the pod. Listen to the podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
And then go to the website, sportsinsanitynetwork.com, for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Dan, I'm Mike. We'll talk to y'all next week here, Batter Up Podcast. Have a good one, everybody.
Hey.
Enjoy the weather.
Yep. Enjoy out there. Peace and love.